stay.
All right, here we are.
What's up, brother?
On the country. I mean, it's incredible out here, man. I understand why you live out here. Now that I'm out here and feeling the energy and just kind of the awesome escape from the hustle and the bustle.
Yeah, it's got quiet to it.
Oh.
Go there. You're gonna grumble through everything. She's got a sound that will get real picked up. She dropped a little dookie right there. Real quick. Anyway, watch it on your way out.
Yeah. I'm here today with no pre-prepared questions or anything. I'm just here to have a conversation because with everything going on, what's the point of coming here with a bunch of preconceived notions about things and things that are happening? And I just want to talk to you as a human being because I really respect you. And the work that you do is really amazing. So base level here, I want to start with just not even as an entrepreneur or as a businessman or anything like that. Just how are you doing right now as a person, as a human being, like with everything else removed, all the other, identities removed, how are you as a person right now?
I'm motivated. A lot is unveiled, really, since I call it COVID Floyd, to not make it sound like facetious or anything, but like those are the two earth-changing things that have happened in the year that has rendered it what do they say, 2020's canceled, everything's canceled, do over 2021. So with everything that's happened, it's been eye-opening for the social response to the COVID pandemic and the unrest that has occurred from George Floyd's murder, and all of the business unrest that has stemmed from both of those events. And it's touched every single community in the country. That's so weird. And so I'm like taking it in too. But I'm motivated because it's shown the good in us. It's shown the differences that are so polarizing right now. I don't think hatred's grown. I think it's anger is louder. Frustrations are louder. People's feelings about others have already been there. Maybe they're exacerbated by some of the events that have happened. But we're in a world of weird communication patterns, styles, how we receive what's the truth, what the truth is supposed to be now. If the media is pouring sensation down our throats, or they're reporting the things that are happening today, and everyone is now vetting the source of the news. So it's just weird and eye-opening, and so I'm just motivated because I move all the time. I'm moving in.
Yeah, you don't stop.
And so when things are like not upheaval, but when things are jostled, I'm pretty nimble in all that because I do it to my own life. I jostle my own life. So when the world's in flux, I'm like, oh, I'm usually working on a project that has pieces that are being put together where things are yet to be fully defined, but there's an end goal. And it's made it a little easier to work through all the things that have happened right now, especially with COVID, because those are business decisions and things that we have to be nimble about. And then socially, how you respond as a business, how you feel as a person, how you respond as a person as well. So all of that stuff matters and it's part of it.
Yeah. I mean, you've certainly been through the ringer. So many changes have happened in your life. I mean, especially since I last talked to you. I think the last time that we sat down and did something like this, or sat down, was State Fair maybe. And I mean, that was another universe, man.
It was.
Like, you were doing Funky Grits at State Fair, and then
And Funky Grits has since closed, and
Yeah.
then we had opened Times Birdhouse in a food hall downtown, which in the first two instances of 2020 that I just mentioned, both affected that, and it's closed. I don't want to have a business in a food hall anymore. Any future in that is just too shaky.
Can we get into that really quick? Why?
Sure.
Why no food
Well,
halls?
Times Birdhouse opened in a food hall downtown, the North Loop Galley,
Right.
in December. And the first quarter of our business, March, we had a global pandemic, which affected everyone. So we closed like everyone. The management of the building had made some arrangements with the management of the food hall made some arrangements with the building management to kind of keep their arrangement in place, but we had to not be open. So we were closed for the pandemic, and also closed because the management of the food hall needed to take their financial security and put that in perspective as well, which controlled how we had to operate. So there was no curbside or anything to even try, which we didn't do when the other restaurants in the food hall did. But when the opportunity came, then everyone had to stop. At that point, we're a month plus into the COVID pandemic and everything associated with that. So then I was just not comfortable not managing the dining room where my business is.
Right.
Nothing to say about the other stores, the other operators in there, or the management of the food hall itself. But if I didn't have direct control over it when there was a moving target, and rightfully, months later, there were more moving targets and businesses in the restaurant and bar industry were making adjustments that, nope, not that, and the rug was pulled from underneath us while new understandings were arising every day from public health. And then with that coming the governor's mandates or executive orders to take deeper precautions. And that was not something that I could bank a future on, and I didn't want to cobble together business for a brand that needed to have some purchase in the ground, traction. And it didn't. It was shaky ground, and then my partnership, that we didn't feel comfortable in being in a food hall where we couldn't control our reactions to all the moving parts that were being thrown at us from public health and executive orders. And the city, state, city, Minneapolis was separate because Minneapolis did things a lot different than other cities, counties, and municipalities. So that affected every single day. So we pulled back instead because, for one, I don't want to put a hectic life on my staff, and two, the consistency that employees had right then was unemployment and stimulus, which was a lot more consistent and predictable than a herky-jerky cobbled together trying to keep it going with trying to hit a moving target with all the moving parts that were adjusted on the fly. Not in control. That was not good for business. From our team's perspective, yeah.
So Thigh Times then, is that done?
No. It's not the time. No restaurant brand can say anything about what they're excited about. They're just trying to hope.
Right.
Some of my most respected peers are worried and just it's so cut and dry and dressed down. Like, I'm nervous because we don't know what 2 months is going to look like, but we have 2 months, so we're happy today. That's kind of scary from a mentor to hear, but then it also shows that we're all in this, and it's a very, very slim margin industry, and any shift can change any concept's flow. Not all, but some. So when a shift happens to affect all of us, all the different concepts and styles and service models are affected in different ways too, because they already operated different ways. So one could be a death knell, the other could be we can work through it, and the other is like we have to reassess what we are because this is completely brand new. you know, you wouldn't think of a Spoon and Stable curbside, app. And if they had to do that, are they that anymore? And that's the survival and invention battle, right? And it's necessary. We need to make moves to try to keep our employees there and to keep our business afloat. And if you can't do that because your market has changed, then some close, some are now curbside to go or take and bake, and they're trying to figure it out. But the garage sale can't last forever. You can't rig your life every weekend. I mean, certain concepts live that way. They love it. That's their style. But you can't just, what are we going to do this weekend? Okay, go. Let's hit it hard because we hope the people can come. And I guess going from Thigh Times into the Cologne House Cafe.
Yeah, what's this all about? I mean, you really are always moving. It's just like, what's next now that Thigh Times is...
Well, the reality of Thigh Times was that it was growing and it was exciting.
Right.
And we were leading into the twin season and the spring.
Yeah.
And right as we were making some big strategic changes, positive ones to the menu that were going to be for high volume and kicking butt from craveability standpoint. By that, I mean, we didn't even have a chicken wing before, and when we were launching a jumbo wing and all the different styles of it, and that was going to get us ready to be practical and efficient for that output for football season. And so COVID just sucked all the air out of everything. And so how do I grow that when the market is adjusting, the pre-existing market's making adjustments, and I have one that was just hitting it. So we're quarantined for a while, right, at home. As a restaurant owner, when we closed, I just was home. My home office is here, but I didn't have any enterprise. But I was working on a project here locally, just feeling it out with my wife about a local cafe, because we live in a rural area. We know a lot of people in town, and there's no family restaurant here. There's just bars. There were only 3 bars. And we learned the history of the town just from our neighbors and those that we've met and got to know. And we love the history, and some of the properties had great food and town connection history. So once we were quarantined, we were kind of stuck at home, and it was more of a town life. So we only went into the perimeter of our essential needs, right? And got to talk with town people more, and the owner of the bar that we're taking over and turning into the Cologne House Cafe. It was the right time for them to evaluate what they were going to do after running it for 24 years, and they were ready to transition, and we were ready to kind of keep our interest near home for a while because of the volatility of everything happening in Minneapolis. Let's be honest, I love that city. I'm from it. I rep it. I wanna continue to do business there, but it is a very it's very hard to predict the winds of business change. Socially, I'm all in for however the community wants to shine brighter after the effects of George Floyd, after the effects of the homeless displacement, after the effects of what may be a lot of evictions in Minneapolis because of people's income getting down to the last, which what they were surviving on recently was grace from the system, right? That's a lot of work, and I'm always going to be committed to that with whatever my work is. If it's with YouthLink on the board there and displaced young adults, or on the entrepreneurial side as a food business, which can provide resources in that way, which just usually turns out to feeding people.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
Right.
Because then you call on all your people that you have to pay money to do your business and say, give me free stuff for the good work we're doing.
Right.
And they have to say yes. And they do. You know, the social weight of that I will throw around all day. Like, well, we're doing some good stuff and we need your help. How much can I count you in for?
Right.
And the food industry is such a beautiful family from all parts of the supply chain. I'm never going to leave the industry because of that. So we felt the comfort of being taken care of in our small town and in the community, and how everyone was feeding each other if anyone was off work, and the preschool became a breakfast and lunch pickup site, no questions asked if your world's hurting, because we're all here stuck. And I wanted to commit to the town and also be close to home economically, and that's a first for me. And we did 2 pop-ups for the Cologne House Cafe at the space before we took over, and the entire town came out, and we just did a curbside, and it was insane. We did 3 days in a row, and it was jaw-dropping. We knew the town was excited, but we have more followers than Thigh Times does.
Wow.
Organically, and I paid for Thigh Times a few, because for ads and visibility.
Right, yeah.
This was just a post,
That's incredible.
and it just in 3 days, like 845 followers, something
Incredible.
like that, plus minus 100 or whatever, but still, it's nearing 800, I think.
Right. Well, it's clear that the community was yearning for that. I'm surprised that such a
Yeah.
thing didn't exist here.
Well, we're small and exploding, so to be on the forefront of that is also good business sense. But we want to be an anchor and a legacy in the town. Our family's growing, we're rooted here, and we'll go from there. Our kids are going to go to school here, and I'll employ a lot of the kids in town. We already have a close relationship with the superintendent of schools, and we're partnering on a lot of stuff together, because we're also taking over the building that the preschool's in.
Wow.
So we're literally partnered with the school district as at least the landlord of the preschool.
Right.
So it's exciting. And another project I can't say yet,
Of course.
because
There's always another one.
the town will know in 10 minutes.
Right. There's always another one on the docket.
But it's local.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And Thigh Times will hook in where in the right market, and I'm just waiting for it.
Good, because I
And-
never got the chance to try it, and I was
Yeah.
really bummed about that, and I'd love to.
Funky Grits will land again in another style.
Which I was
as well.
also, I had Funky Grits, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
And I would love to get that again.
It'll be back.
Good.
It'll be back.
That's good to hear, man.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard to close, but it was the right time, some way and some reason, because 7 months later, George Floyd was murdered on the corner, and we weren't a delivery business, so we would have closed. There's no way we could sustain there at all. What is now there, my good friend Rashad West, is a Chinese restaurant, which flourished because of its delivery base. So the right thing happened in that building, because it can still continue to be a black-owned restaurant, and with someone who's wants to stay rooted in the community, and it would have been closed if it was Funky Grits. So the inevitability was I would have lasted 7 more months, but this wouldn't have been able to happen. I mean, the memorial site that it is now could not have had traffic. It would have been a way station for protest supplies, and that I would have closed. My involvement there would have been deeper, and I would have been out of it business-wise, but more socially, which I was a lot there anyhow.
Yeah.
I was involved in some of the events after George Floyd died, because of my connection to the building, and press thinking I was still there. But
Right. Well, yeah, so for context, Funky Grits was there right smack dab on 30th in Chicago, and then it was taken over by that other restaurant, and then this happened, and I mean, why not just touch on that then? I mean, not only
Yeah.
has this year been a roller coaster for you from a business, sense, but just your identity as a black man has been under attack once again, and it's
Yeah.
just like, what? I mean, it's just the umpteenth time at this point. It's just like, what are you feeling? I mean, I almost don't even have the words. It's just like, I feel like we're all so sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, but what do we do?
Yeah. Well, I've been asked that a lot, and I don't know, but I know
Right,
I do.
and
I keep moving.
I think the problem is, especially people who look like me, they go to people who look like you and ask, what can we do? What's the solution? You don't know. I mean, just because you are the way you look doesn't mean you have all the solutions, but you're living it, like you just said.
Sure.
Through your actions, you're trying to show.
And there was more involvement than just being black and George Floyd dying. Just quickly, backstory that you alluded to. I got a call the morning after George Floyd died from the Washington Post because they assumed that I was still there from their research. I asked what happened because I didn't know, and when I found out, I got involved and called all the corner businesses that I knew and asked if they saw it. And Dragon Walk, which took over where Funky Grits was, had footage, and I told the press that I would safeguard it and went down there and we held tape before the FBI took the DVR, just to make sure. It wasn't about a belief in if he was murdered or not murdered at the time. It was, when a black man dies by the police, you never see what happens, and then everyone's just assuming. And to assume the worst, which is unfortunately a majority, that there isn't any recourse to a police killing a black man that's unarmed, but for video evidence, it happens a lot and no one ever would know. The community knows, but the America at large, or now the world, doesn't know. It's to a point where now a lot of people that look like you are just like, ugh, so fatigued by other people's stress and drama because it's affecting their lives, that by no malice on their own part, they're getting racial fatigue. And whether that's their privilege to get tired of it and want to just make it go away or not, I personally think it's tinged with privilege to be able to set something aside and call it annoying now, versus somebody who has to live it every single day. So for me, I'm balancing that because the conversations either were forced upon me, came to me, and it was the whole Black in America thing. What do you think about George Floyd? And, I was involved because then I was on CNN talking about the video story of
That's
how
fucking
we got
surreal.
the video. That was
to see that.
surreal. Surreal also was some of the responses I got from people privately about feeling to the contrary.
Huh.
Another reason I'm happy where I live, because at that point it was a little weird.
Yeah.
People thought I was involved in a way where I was pursuing an agenda or pushing something based on safeguarding it just because I believed that we should see whatever, because we never see what happens. And had I been involved, I was personally championing that role because I thought I could be there and been dead, or intervened and been dead. But for a few months I would have been there at work. So that just got me motivated to just go there. And also my friend who owns the restaurant, that was some shit for his head in life. I'd be there for him too. And we went through a lot together for a couple months, which strengthened our friendship for damn sure. But it wasn't like, I had to firm my resolve at my safety and my family a little bit. Just not head on a swivel paranoia, but okay, crazy people who can't type or spell say stuff because they found me. That's cool too. Whatever. I just move on. I can't slow down from the unknown stuff and hold on about it to the point of, I'm glad I live out here. Well, I live in a rural area for many reasons. Safety is far down the list, but it's on the list because America's scary talk right now. So I don't know what clicks off the masses, the middle masses. people who show up to a place and where others show up to a place and they don't really know why, but they all believe something, but they're showing up and calling this protests and anti-protests, and protests against protesters. And you may be a lot in the South, and people thinking that they're there for that reason, and that Antifa is a person with a leader, or Black Lives Matter is a group that's organized with leadership and a membership in at BLM.org hierarchy, other than thought processes and disorganized feelings, because it's fucking disorganized feelings, albeit the feelings for the Black Lives Matter movement is of a pained nature, right? This sucks. It's mobilization time. Mobilization that this is affecting people. Fucking look, just look. Do not have to change your entire life and kowtow and become a deferent, in deference to African American people. Just realize shit happened. It was really bad. It hurt a fuck ton of people over a lot of generations, and then it's not right. And then that's all, right? The kid who's crying that they didn't get a present at the kid's birthday party, you gotta kind of talk to him and say, hey, it's Caitlin's birthday. You don't get the prize. Well, I want to sit on the big chair. Well, everyone gives me presents. And I'm not saying this is about giving presents or anything. It's my analogy is like, it's just sometimes the news story is about the squirrel on skis, and not emailing them, why did you waste 15 seconds when Darfur? Like, that's my equivalency. The squirrel on skis, and then you call Care 11, you're like, that should have been Darfur. Okay, I get it. That's true too, but I just, we produced this segment on today, and it was like summertime, 4th of July, so we put a squirrel on skis because it was cute. We're trying to do a cute thing on Tuesday at 5:52. That was just Tuesday at 5:52. Now, that's obviously a larger issue at stake, but people say, whoa, lives matter, and you guys don't understand. And for one, I'm not all you guys, and I didn't, and kick off the conversation. Your frustration, those who are frustrated and of that mindset, for one, aren't around it by large. 90% not around it. So they're reacting to the things that look annoying to them and seem disruptive, right? And civilly disobedient. And then they see it as a organized thing. Like Antifa's, and this isn't a personal belief or anything, but it's just like, it means anti-fascist. So that's like against a thing, a rule style, right? That's all. There's no at antifa.org. And no one goes like, did you get it? We're going to do the thing. Because if that was the case, they wouldn't be here in America. It would be in an actual fascist country, or trying to bring awareness to that in America about where it truly is. So as much as there's no deep government that lasts beyond every single presidency and congressional shit change, because it's not true, right? There's no... Black Lives Matter is a founded organization, but it's disorganized social feelings, right? Correct feelings of how the impetus of the organization and how the outcry was. Hey, what the fuck? Can someone else care too that we're dying and it's not cool? Not better than you, not put us in, not leadership changes on a color barrier. Time for a new regime change. No, it's time for a new thought change, and it's the humanity change. Not the fucking political party. Not liberals kicking down doors. Not conservative Republicans kicking down